Across time, humanity has lived through countless stories. Stories of choices, stories of struggle, stories that still teach us today. Every story carries a lesson. Faith's story presents the beginning of everything. They are etched in stone, whispered on the wind, and written in the stars. A legacy of beginnings, of endings, and the courage to start anew. Before time, there was only silence, an endless velvet dark holding its breath. Then, a single point of light, no bigger than a thought, decided to be. With a silent, brilliant roar, it unfurled, painting the void with color and fire. This was the first beginning, a universe born from a single spark. Galaxies began to spin like cosmic dancers, their arms swirling with dust and nascent stars. Supernovas bloomed like transient flowers, scattering the seeds of creation across the black canvas. Within this celestial ballet, clouds of gas and dust coalesced. Gravity, the universe's gentle hand, pulled them together, closer and closer. Pressures mounted, hearts of fire ignited, and stars were born, peppering the darkness with shimmering light. A million suns lit up the void, each a hearth for worlds yet to come. In the beginning, there was nothing. No mountains, no oceans, no life. Then something changed. Light appeared, and the darkness was pushed away. The sky began to take shape. Among them, a special swirl of stardust began to gather, a blue-green jewel in the making. This was our Earth. In its infancy, it was a molten sphere, a raging ball of fire and rock. Volcanoes erupted, breathing smoke and fury into the thin atmosphere. A symphony of cosmic chemistry. The oceans churned with minerals, a cauldron of potential. Gases swirled, forming a primordial shield, a fragile veil against the harshness of space, protecting the cradle of life below. Asteroids, like celestial hammers, rained down, sculpting its surface with craters and valleys. Then, the great cooling began. Steam billowed from the hot surface, gathering into heavy, dark clouds that cloaked the entire world. For ages, the planet waited in this steamy shroud. Then came the rain, a torrent that lasted for centuries, filling the newly carved basins and creating the first oceans. Vast, silent waters that reflected a sky still veiled in mist. Waters gathered, and dry land appeared. The earth began to grow. Life learned to move, to hunt, to hide. A dance of survival began in the deep. Coral reefs rose like underwater cities. Forests of kelp swayed with the currents. Beneath these waves, in the deep, quiet dark, another beginning was stirring. Life. Simple, single-celled organisms drifting in the primordial soup. They were the first whisper of what was to come, the ancestors of everything. Slowly, they learned to eat light, breathing oxygen into the seas and sky, turning the planet's atmosphere into a life-giving embrace. Life began to cover the land. Life diversified, blooming into a kaleidoscope of forms. Algae painted the oceans in vibrant greens and reds. Strange, soft-bodied creatures drifted through the currents. Then the Cambrian explosion, a riot of creation. Life grew shells, spines, and eyes to see its new world. Plants, brave pioneers, ventured onto the barren land. First as mosses clinging to wet rocks, then as vast forests of giant ferns reaching for the sun. The air filled with the buzz of insects, and soon amphibians crawled from the water, taking their first awkward steps on solid ground. The sun rose to rule the day, and the moon ruled the night. Countless stars filled the heavens. A question echoed in the silence of a mind. Who am I? They learned the secrets of the seasons, the migration of the herds, and the phases of the moon. They passed knowledge from one generation to the next. A chain of memory, unbroken through time. Creatures filled the skies, and life filled the seas. Dinosaurs, magnificent and terrifying, thundered across the continents for millions of years. Their reign was a grand, dramatic chapter, an age of giants beneath a younger sun. But beginnings often rise from endings. A fiery messenger from the stars brought their world to a close, clearing the stage for a new act. The earth came alive. From the shadows, small furry mammals emerged. They were adaptable, resilient, and they inherited the earth. The world continued to shape itself. Continents drifted, mountains rose, and ice ages carved a landscape with frozen rivers. And among the primates, a new consciousness flickered. In the savannas of Africa, a creature stood up, looked at its hands, and wondered. This was our beginning. The world was ready, and humanity began its story. Humanity. We were born into a world of wonder and danger. We looked at the stars and saw not just lights, but stories and gods. We saw a flint rock and envisioned a tool. We gathered in tribes, our first families. We learned to speak, turning grunts and gestures into language, weaving our thoughts into shared understanding. We felt the cold and dreamed of fire. That first spark, held in trembling hands, was more than just warmth. It was community. It was a shared meal. It was a story told in the flickering light. We painted our stories on cave walls, images of the hunt, of our hands, of the great beasts we lived alongside. It was our first art, a message to the future saying, we were here. We built shelters, planted seeds, and created music, the rhythm of our hearts echoing the rhythm of the cosmos. The beginning of everything. Every great story begins somewhere. Every beginning matter. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more life lessons. Face Story. More stories. More lessons.